Every time you react instant, you aren't showing strength. You're actually handing over your power to the world on a silver platter. You know that feeling, that on-edge twitch when a notification pops up, or the bitter weight of regret that hits the second you snap at someone you love. It's exhausting to be a prisoner of your own first thoughts, isn't it? But what if you could stop the fire before it burns? What if the weight you're carrying, that heavy invisible pressure in your chest, isn't even yours to carry? Today, I'm sharing an ancient secret to reclaim your authority. Listen closely, and you'll discover the silent gap, the ultimate key to a peace that no one can ever take from you. However, understanding this gap is only the beginning. There is a specific reason why your brain is wired to keep you in this state of mental erosion. And if you don't recognize the invisible burden you're currently dragging behind you, even the best secrets won't save you. Leo sat in the neon hum of his office, but the real noise was echoing behind his eyes. Every time his phone buzzed, it wasn't just a notification. It was a physical strike against his ribs. He felt like a high-tension cable stretched to the snapping point, waiting for the next crisis. You've felt that, haven't you? The sense that if you stop moving, the world will finally catch up. But Leo didn't realize that his constant motion was exactly what was keeping him underwater. He believed his lightning-fast responses were his greatest weapon. But in truth, he was just a prisoner to his own nervous system. His tongue had become a runaway train, moving miles ahead of any wisdom he possessed. This is the mental erosion we don't talk about. The slow wearing away of your self-respect as you build a life out of gotcha moments on a foundation of shifting sand. He was drowning in the fatigue of purposeless motion, watching his own hands do the damage. To the world, he looked like a high achiever. Inside, he was terrified of the silence because it would force him to look at the wreckage. He was carrying a debt that was finally coming due, the invisible burden of being always on. But here is the part Leo didn't know yet. The heavier the burden, the more likely you are to miss the one specific door that leads out of the storm. A door that Master Haku was about to show him, but not in the way he expected. Leo climbed the winding path to the mountain forge, his mind still rehearsing a dozen clever excuses. He expected a masterclass in efficiency, a set of tactics to sharpen his edge and make him faster. Instead, he found Master Haku, a man whose presence felt like a deep, lightless well in a forest. Haku didn't offer a greeting. He just kept working with a terrifyingly slow grace that made Leo's skin crawl with impatience. Leo started talking, fast, explaining his stress and his needs. But Haku let the words fall to the dirt floor like dead leaves. You see, silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's a mirror that reflects everything you're trying to hide. Finally, Haku placed a jagged piece of raw granite on a wooden stump and handed Leo a heavy iron hammer. Leo reached for the chisel, but Haku pulled the toolbox away. "You won't be needing that," the master whispered. Without a chisel, the hammer was a blunt, useless instrument. Leo felt a surge of panic. How do you shape a masterpiece when you're only given the weight of the blow? "I want you to sit with this stone and wait for it to speak to you," Haku commanded. This wasn't a productivity hack. It was a confrontation with the void. The stone won't give up its secrets to those who rush. As Leo sat there, his body screaming to react, he realized the stone wasn't the obstacle. He was. But what Leo didn't know was that this uncomfortable silence was preparing him for a much more dangerous test. A test involving a force so destructive that a single mistake would leave a permanent scar. A lesson Haku was about to pull directly from the heart of the fire. Haku didn't reach for the stone again. Instead, he reached deep into the heart of the forge. With a pair of iron tongs, he pulled out a single pulsating chunk of heated coal. It was a terrifying orange, a miniature sun that seemed to vibrate with its own destructive power. He placed it on the anvil right in front of "Now," the master whispered, "move this to the other side of the forge using only your bare hands." Leo recoiled, his heart hammering against his chest. To touch it would be to invite agony, a permanent scar that would mark him as a fool. Yet, this is exactly what you do every time someone insults you or a crisis hits, and you feel that searing heat in your gut. You think you have to grab the problem and wrestle it into submission. But Haku's voice cut through the hiss. This coal is every provocation you have ever faced. It is the rude comment and the fear that keeps you awake. When you react impulsively, you are grabbing the fire with both hands. You think you're being strong, but look at your hand. Are they not burned by the very words you used to defend your ego? Reactivity is a trick that says speed will save you, when in reality, the faster you grab the coal, the deeper the heat seeps into your bone. True authority is the ability to look at the heated coal of life and simply let it sit on the anvil. You are the observer, not the victim. Leo's fingers twitched with the urge to do something, but then he noticed Haku reaching for a bucket in the corner. There was a secret way to extinguish the heat forever, a mental ritual that Leo was about to witness. One that changes the very chemistry of your soul. The tension in the forge finally snapped, but not with a bang. It broke with a long, cooling sigh. Leo realized that as long as he stood there waiting to react, he was still the coal's servant. He took the iron tongs, moved the glowing ember slowly, and let it fall into the wooden bucket. Watch the steam rise in a thick, white plume. The hiss of the water is the sound of a spirit finally finding its center after a long storm. That angry glow faded into a harmless gray. This is exactly what happens to your stress when you refuse to give it the oxygen of your attention. The fire only lives if you feed it with your frantic hands. Haku stepped forward, his voice a soothing balm. True power doesn't live in the blow of the hammer, it lives in the space before the swing. This is the stoic pause. When you stop rushing to meet every provocation, you finally become the master of your own house. Reaction is a key, silence is the key, Haku whispered. Every time you let a notification or a rude comment dictate your mood, you're handing your keys to a stranger. True freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's not doing what your impulses demand. This is the silent gap, the 3-second sanctuary where your character is forged. But while Leo walked away from the mountain a changed man, he knew the fire of the city streets was waiting for. Most people try this once and fail because they lack the specific architecture to keep their silent fortress standing when life gets loud. Tomorrow, you will face a heated coal, and if you don't know the exact 3 steps to drop it without burning your life down, you'll find yourself back in the cave before the sun sets. Leo walked out of the forge, but he wasn't the same man who had climbed the mountain. When his phone buzzed in his pocket, that familiar phantom limb of his old life, he didn't reach for it. He realized that the person who is always available to react is the person who is never truly available to themselves. He finally had the key, and the cage was wide open. But let's be honest, walking away from the mountain is the easy part. The real challenge begins when you walk back into the fire of your daily life. The difficult boss, the family drama, and the constant digital noise. Many of the stories you hear here aren't just story. They reflect the invisible weight you may be carrying every day. Like Leo, you might be building a life out of gotcha moments while your soul slowly erodes. If you're tired of holding pain, responsibility, and guilt that were never yours, I created a step-by-step guide to help you drop the coal for good. It's an ebook called The Weight of Stones That Are Not Yours. It's designed specifically for those who want to stop being a prisoner to their first thoughts, set firm boundaries, and finally live with the lightness of a master. When you get your copy today, I'm also including 2 essential bonuses to fortify your peace. Bonus 1, Learning to Let Go, the practical mental ritual to extinguish stress before it consumes your day. Bonus 2, When Saying No is an Act of Self-Love, a guide to building your silent fortress so you never hand your keys to a stranger again. Don't let your peace be a currency you spend foolishly on things that don't matter. Stop being the one who grabs the fire. Reclaim your throne of authority now. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment.